The voice of Husker Nation is on the air. This is Hail Varsity Radio. Insight, opinion, expertise, along with the biggest names talking Nebraska sports. Join in with the show at 402-489-1240 or 1-800-825-5865. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Welcome to it. Great to be with you on a Friday. It's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by Currency. For all your equipment financing needs, go Currency. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. Hope you're all right. Good stuff earlier today. We'll hear from Trev Alberts, John Cook, all that goodness as Nebraska going to break an attendance record in August in the name of volleyball and Title IX. Pretty awesome. We'll dive into some football thoughts. The Athletic, ESPN.com. Elijah, they are, I don't want to say going after your quarterback, but man, oh man, they're letting some cats out of some bags when it comes to danger. Let's ride Russell Wilson. We'll get there. Husker basketball as they take on Minnesota. Are you feeling confident about Big Red basketball? The win streak's incredible. The chemistry undoubted. The coaching, phenomenal. Wonderful. Do you still feel okay about tomorrow? Or is there a little bit of trepidation with Minnesota coming in? Listen, Sparty's going to be tough. We're at Rosie's next Tuesday. Come see us 4 to 6 downtown Lincoln. And then, of course, you wrap with Iowa. So some Husker basketball and baseball news. We'll check in with Jacob Padilla, 20 minutes, get the prep rundown, a busy district schedule to cover there. Jacob's thoughts also as he was at the presser with John Cook, Trev Alberts, and Husker volleyball. Bill Doleman in 1 hour. We'll talk some Big Red with him and more on the recruiting front and what's looming with spring football. Brady Oltmans with us. Can join us today, 489-1240. 489-1240, the numbers to get in. Can also jump on the Hail Varsity YouTube stream. That is live and in video for you, the Hail Varsity YouTube or Hail Varsity Twitter at HVarsity Radio. And can find KFOR Facebook and Twitter as well if you want to watch the show. And email, as always, chris@hailvarsity.com. I love what Nebraska's doing. It'll be a day of celebration for the Big Red in August. And you've had 50 years of Title IX. And Nebraska cognizant of that. Nebraska been a leader when it comes to Title IX. Nebraska has been a leader when it comes to volleyball and what this state is, what Terry Pettit did, what John Cook has continued to do. And I like the cowboy hat touch. I was waiting on some Yellowstone theatrical music, some speakers to be rolled in on the 6th floor and have the opening sound of Yellowstone as John Cook put the cowboy hat on he got from Governor Pillen. But listen, I like Nebraska's competitiveness first. Wisconsin, listen, John Cook built that for you too, by the way. And Wisconsin, the record's going to come back to Nebraska. So good. Win on the court against Wisconsin, even better. Nebraska working on that. 2, listen, John Cook is not a spring chicken. He looks way younger than he is. He coaches way younger than he is, so this is not an age take. But John Cook's been doing this forever. John Cook's got land in big sky country, all right? At some point, you hit a wall. I don't know if that's the case or not, but at some point you say, have I done enough? Is it time to retire?
At some point you want to settle down, have a simple life with your family, your horses,
want to retire.
And not worry about volleyball.
Right. And this is based on how last season finished and what you have in the cupboard this year and then this kickoff. It's a fantastic tribute. I mean, it's a lot of things, but I also look at this as a tribute. You can't not keep going with this tribute. You can't not use this as momentum. I mean, you're going to be the toast, deservedly so, of women's athletics and, of course, the state of Nebraska before football season gets rolling. And you've been carrying the athletics of this university for a decade, period. You're the only program that's been, baseball's had some moments. Basketball's had a couple of moments. Football's had very few moments. Been carrying everyone's ass. Good for you. And, man, let's showcase it. Those are all the things that went through my mind. Mm-hmm. A lot of those things can debate my mind. I totally get that. But that's what I look at, and hey, let's send a tribute out, man.
Well, and you talk about that tribute, and we had this yesterday. We're very excited for Husker Volleyball Memorial Stadium. Trev,
you had this yesterday.
Thank you. Trev didn't skirt around the issue this morning. He said, you know what, this is about getting the attendance record where it rightfully belongs, and that's Nebraska. Nebraska's the best volleyball state in the country. We're going to prove it. We're going to set a record that nobody's going to be able to break. That's a great way to honor John Cook. Yeah. Something I've been saying for years and years, and it still rings true right now. Build a damn statue while you're at it. Put out in front of the new football facility, John Cook with the fist bump, winning the national championship. Build a statue. Honor him while he's still here. Unveil it whenever you're doing this great event at Memorial Stadium. There is no reason that one of the two greatest coaches in Nebraska athletics history, yes, I think it goes Tom Osborne, John Cook. That's your 1 and 2 in Nebraska athletics history in terms of greatest coaches. You can put Devaney in there too, Schmidt, and I know you would probably want to put Devaney in there, but look at the results.
We're gonna open a can of worms that Doleman may bust through the wall here before 5 o'clock if we're gonna rank. That's a fair question. Let's rank the greatest coaches, and there's people right now screaming at their radio or their tablet. There's no ranking to discuss. It's T.O. He's awesome. Devaney built it and hired it. Tom maintained it and made it great too. So and then you got John Cook in his own sport.
Well,
Terry Pettit went door to door with tickets, man, and built this thing up. So the two greats, Osborne and Cook had predecessors.
But look at how these other guys have been honored. Tom Osborne's got a statue outside North Stadium with Brooke Behringer. Oh, and the field at Memorial Stadium is named after him. It's Tom Osborne Field. Bob Devaney of the Bob Devaney Sports Center, which has been around for years, will continue to be around for years because of these renovations. They're both honored. Terry Pettit Court is the court at Bob Devaney. He's been honored. Where has John Cook been honored? I know he's still a head coach, but why does that stop you from honoring one of the greatest to ever do it in the sport of volleyball?
Maybe a Nebraska volleyball building.
Maybe, but there needs to be something on campus within the athletic department that honors John Cook. I vote a statue in front of that new football facility. You want to model excellence for these football players, all the athletes?
Ask him where he wants it.
Sure.
Ask him where he wants it. He may not want it at Memorial.
Sure. Put a statue wherever the hell he wants it, but it's time. He's one of the greatest coaches in Husker history. He's also one of the greatest coaches in volleyball history at the collegiate level, one of the greatest to ever do it. There needs to be some sort of way that this university can honor him before he is no longer Nebraska's coach. Honor him while he is here. We've all witnessed the greatness. We all understand that dude's going to get a statue at some point in time in the Nebraska athletic department. Can we at least honor him while we're still going, while he is still going, and honor the greatness that is John Cook? Put a statue up while you're about it. And I understand that's a whole other thing. Let's appreciate what we have while we have it. And what we have right now is we're going to have a great volleyball event at Memorial Stadium this fall that I'm very much looking forward to. But come on, I called for this like 3 years ago. It's been time to get a statue of John Cook, or at least something to honor him.
Well, and you'll honor him with butts in the seats. Don't know who the act is going to be. Brando's not wrong here. Love me some Mark Manning. Big time coach, incredible coach. So we'll put Doleman on the spot. We may give him a heads up, but rank the top 5 coaches in Nebraska, current or former. And I got to go Devaney 1. And I know Osborne's won 3 title, and I love TOs, but I got to look at who brought T.O. into the fold. All right. Now, the other argument to that is, well, who was calling the plays when Devaney was winning championships? It was T.O. So shove it there, right? And then Cook is phenomenal. Multiple championships. Pettit, though. I mean, Pettit's the godfather.
Pettit laid the foundation.
Big time. And so did Bob. So, I mean, you honor what concrete work was done, or do you say, man, those are some sweet wood floors? It's a great trophy room.
Yeah, it is.
Numbers to get in, 489-1240, 800-825-5865. A little bit here from Trev about imploring the Big Red Faithful to break the record come August.
And I do need to acknowledge that we hope that one of the outcomes of celebrating our volleyball programs in the state of Nebraska is that we, for once and for all, establish the all-time attendance record for volleyball nationally. Okay? As I said many months ago, the attendance record for volleyball belongs in the state of Nebraska. So I'm going to be the first person to say it. You'll probably hear from some others. But I'm going to implore Husker Nation, and I'm going to implore volleyball fans across the state of Nebraska to come to Memorial Stadium. We're going to do this once, and I want to hope that the number is large enough that nobody dares even try to attack our all-time record.
That is ours, Madtown. You've been renting. End of discussion. Good night.
Hope you enjoyed it for your 9 months.
Mm-hmm. Revenue, they are going to share, which is good. That's UNO, that is UNK, that is Wayne State.
I want to be very transparent here. This is not an effort from the University of Nebraska to put on a big event and keep all the revenue. We've made a commitment to the participating schools that we're going to share revenue, and each participating school is going to receive $50,000 as a result of participating in this event.
That's all good. Share the fundage. Don't know what do you imagine tickets for this will be?
I think you have to make it. If you're trying to really break the attendance record, you make them somewhat economical. I was going to say somewhere in that $15 range.
Can I ask this next question? Do you bring in beer?
You better.
Do you go from volleyball show to concert at night?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. With if you're going to have a concert, you better have the beer. That's usually how these artists are able to fund these things.
No, you're going to have the beer. You're going to have beer for the show.
So why wouldn't you have it for volleyball?
Well,
I understand there's a lot of red tape in the way.
Do they have it now?
There's a lot of red tape in the way.
Do they have it now?
No. There's a lot of red tape in the way, but like, are you serious? It's going to be a hot day in August, and I'm going to be outside watching volleyball. You better have beer for me. If you don't have beer for me, I'm bringing it in some way, shape, or form.
That, folks, is Elijah Herbel. Check his pockets. Sir, I need you to stand over there, spread your legs. We will pat you down briefly. Last thought here from Trev here. If Mother Nature gives us the middle finger.
It does rain sometimes outside. And so if that happens, we'll just be moving over to Devaney Center and do the best that we can. But we're still going to be able to really lift up women's athletics and volleyball in the state of Nebraska.
Well, good enough. Nebraska, thumbs up to you. Should be incredible.
And along with this, we also have Governor Jim Pillen announcing August 28th, 2023 is Nebraska Volleyball Day. So it's a day to honor just the importance of the sport within the state, because even since I've been alive in my lifetime, the growth of volleyball has been incredible. Not just Nebraska, but you also look at UNK, Wayne State, two of the best programs in their respective conferences in the country. You have UNO.
UNO is smoking, man. They're good.
And then you have high school volleyball. Do you see the attendance numbers of high school state volleyball every single year at Pinnacle Bank Arena? It's bonkers. So just the effect that volleyball has on this state, well deserved that we get a day to honor this, the sport of volleyball within the state of Nebraska and the effect it's had.
Well, we'll bring up the coaching question to Doleman. We'll get into some recruiting as well. Going to touch on Nebraska basketball. Tomorrow, Minnesota comes in. Husker baseball, Alabama, South Alabama today. They've got a couple of sluggers, a good pitching staff. Brian's asking about Camp Randall. What's the capacity there? I think they're at 80. 70 to 80.
I think they're like 70, 75 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, they're kind of like old Memorial Stadium numbers. The old 76,000, something like that.
80,321.
Okay, 80K is what it is, and Nebraska can get, 90 at one point in time.
You know,
they'll do that. They'll try and do. What's the? What do you think? Do you think they sell? Do you think they sell it out? Do you think they hit 90? Do you think they get third largest city in the state of Nebraska to come watch this volleyball? I know they've been asked to. I know they'll make it affordable enough.
The concert announcement afterwards is going to be a big factor. I think who is going to be performing that show, and then also do the fans of UNK and Wayne.
Sure, they'll make the roadie.
Do they make the roadie? Do they fill up the stadium? And I think it comes down to more than just the volleyball in terms of can Nebraska fill up Memorial Stadium? What other events are going to be happening around the stadium that day? What else comes along with, Nebraska Volleyball Day? But realistically, could Nebraska fill it up? Yes. Do I foresee it? I don't know. I think they'll get at least 60,000 in there.
Yeah. What was the record Wisconsin had?
It's like 18,000.
18.
18. That's gonna get blown out of the water. That's no question in my mind.
That could get tripled.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't say could. I would say is likely to get tripled.
Does it get quadrupled? Do they hit 80?
That's the point where I go now. I don't know. It is going to be on. Let's see. What day is this? It's
the Wednesday before Minnesota?
I believe
Nebraska?
it's like the day before Nebraska. Or 2 days before Nebraska, Minnesota.
Okay.
No, wait. No, my math is wrong here.
Thursday is that game.
Thursday is that game, and this goes down on Monday. Is that right?
Yeah. Kickoff. Bang. Should be fun. Good enough. So there we have it. Nebraska going to celebrate, honor, and get butts in the seats at Memorial
Bad math.
Stadium.
You were right. It was Wednesday. Wednesday, the volleyball match will be going down, and Thursday is Husker football kickoff.
That's what I thought.
You are correct.
Yep.
You are better with calendars than I.
So Brian is adamant he'll be there, and he says Nebraska can hit 80K. Really interesting question, though. Like, who's the greatest Nebraska coach of all time? Do you go Devaney? Do you go Osborne? Do you go
Cook?
Do you go Pettit?
I don't think you go Frost. That was a low blow.
Wasn't gonna mention him. No,
that was a low blow. I do apologize.
Danny Nee right now is swearing like Joe Pesci. That's a conversation.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for spending time at Hail Varsity Radio, presented by Currency. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, as we head to the 6th floor press box. Posted up, Jacob Padilla at the press conference a bit earlier with Trev Alberts, John Cook. Jacob, do you have a cowboy hat? Did they hand those out earlier?
I do not. That was a special gift for John Cook. Apparently, it was a pretty high-end cowboy hat, which I wouldn't know about, but he was pretty happy to receive it.
So I'm assuming you don't even own a cowboy hat in any sense of the word, Jacob?
I do not. At one point as a kid, I had one, but that's probably about it.
I'm not cool enough to rock a cowboy hat, and I would find the coolest and most expensive, but I would look like a goon, and I don't want to diminish those that can rock said cowboy hats or have been on a horse
like
the last 40 years. Pardon me?
Yeah, like Brady Oltmans.
Brady,
I'm sure you can discuss cowboy hats with him.
We are going to get into cowboy hats in an hour with Brady. Your reaction to the announcement, Nebraska's goal to fill up Memorial Stadium, and the tribute that this is, not only to Title IX, but to John Cook.
Yeah, I mean, the rumor's been kind of swirling for a while now, and they were finally able to hammer out all the details and decide, yeah, let's go for it. And like John Cook said, like, Trev Alberts is a competitor, and once they decide to go for this, like, not shooting for just breaking the record, they want to shatter this thing. And the fact that they think they can do that, and they're talking selling out the stadium and getting a bunch of people in here, just they know their fan base, they know what volleyball and this program means to people in this state, and it'll be a great opportunity for obviously we know 300 plus straight sellouts at the Devaney Center. It's really hard to get tickets to see them play in person. That's part of why John Cook takes their spring game out around the state to smaller communities to give people out there chances to go see the team that maybe can't make it to Lincoln, get into the Devaney Center during the regular season. So this will just be another opportunity to bring more people into the fan base, to create an experience for young fans, for the players, for just everybody involved, for something that's going to be really, really cool.
Jacob, in your opinion, if you're ballparking right now, does Nebraska sell it out? Does Nebraska get 70,000 in there? What would your estimation be? You spend a lot of time down at the Devaney. You spend a lot of time around Husker volleyball. How many people do you think actually show up there? Does it matter who the concert is afterwards? These are all things we were discussing back in the first segment. We want to get your expert opinion.
Yeah, I think you can certainly juice the numbers some depending on who the concert's going to end up being. it's interesting. Aaron Sorensen asks like various people and got a whole range of, like John Cook said he was just hoping for 25,000 like when they first kind of pitched the idea and decided, all right, let's do this. But once Ted Carter challenged the fan base, let's sell this thing out, he's like, okay, let's do that. Trev Albert said he kind of likes to be conservative and said 45,000 I guess is his conservative number. So it'll be really curious to see. I really have no idea how to project this, again, because we know how popular it is in the state, but the fan base that actually gets to attend the matches is capped at such a small number. Like, I mean, it's a huge number for everybody else in the country, but relative to Memorial Stadium, it's such a small number. So we don't really have a good feel for what the demand is going to be, but I know they're going to push this thing hard, and fans certainly, we know if there's one thing about Nebraska fans, you challenge them, they're going to respond. And Ted Carter, right off the top, issued that challenge, said, let's sell this thing out. Let's make this, I think Trev Albert said, let's make it so nobody even attempts to try to top it, to match up with them. So they're going to push hard for this thing, and it's up to the Nebraska fan base, and not even just the Nebraska fan base. Like I'm sure there are other just volleyball fans in the area. Obviously, some Omaha fans coming up from down I-80, from UNK, Wayne State. Just again, maybe I think Lindsey Krause even said maybe some people that just want to be part of a historical event to say that they were there when something like this happened. So I'll be curious to see kind of what the ticket sales look like. I think it's going to be a big number. I just have no idea how big at this point.
Jacob, from reading the tea leaves here, and I did some reading of the tea leaves yesterday, and I was correct, and I'm going to try to do it again here today. Whenever you look at the concert afterwards, and I know this is not the number one story today, but I've been reading tea leaves here. Jason Derulo is opening a volleyball team professionally up in Omaha down the road here this fall. The timing seems to work out conveniently that, maybe Jason Derulo could come down and get a little free publicity for his new volleyball team while doing a performance following the Husker volleyball match. Is that a stretch to think? Also, how does Jason Derulo move the needle for you?
There isn't really anybody that moves a needle for me. I'm just not a big music person. I'll be working on my story during the concert.
There's a true professional.
Really
Jacob's like, don't care.
Certainly would make some sense, like you said, just kind of piggyback the various things together. And Beck Alec even mentioned Derulo and kind of how cool it is and how it's just a sign of volleyball kind of expanding and the attention, the interest in the sport just growing and growing, having someone like him like posting about volleyball on the social media and stuff like that. I would lean probably more towards maybe a country artist, just knowing the fan base. And I think there's going to be PBA is going to have a country concert the night before. That's why they were originally looking at Tuesday for this, but didn't want to go head to head with that, so they bumped it back to Wednesday. So I don't have any insight into who it's actually going to be, but that would be my guess.
Is Aaron Sorensen going to reach out to her close personal friend Taylor Swift and
that would move the needle
and make this thing?
Yeah. If they get Taylor Swift in here, they might need to. I think that would be an instant sellout.
No, I think they would need to expand Memorial Stadium.
Expand the stadium.
Yeah, you do some.
Jacob Padilla's with us.
Speaking of Jason Derulo, though, really fast, fun story here. My buddy was going through basic training this past fall, and Jason Derulo was doing a performance nearby, and he came and stopped by the shooting range and came like shot guns with my buddy on the shooting range while they're going through basic training. Just like one of those weird stories where he texts me on the weekend and goes, "Yeah, I met Jason Derulo this week at the shooting range." I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
It worked out well.
But apparently Jason Derulo's a cool guy, so maybe if he's the guy, that'd be pretty cool.
All right, level of trust, Jacob, in Nebraska basketball in front of Minnesota.
It's not quite to the point where I have trust, but definitely feel a lot better now than because even heading up to Minneapolis, like in the first game, it's like the rare game where you should win.
Right.
Like, there weren't many of those, particularly at that point in the season. And they didn't handle it super well. They nearly gave that game away, but they're playing at a much better level than they are now. And Minnesota's continued to struggle. They're healthier. I mean, they've got Battle and Dawson Garcia, the two best players, both should be in the lineup. I've had both those guys together for a bit now. But I think the thing that does raise the trust level a little bit is that Maryland game, they won it with defense. They got back to finding a way to be effective on that end of the floor. It held Maryland at 33% shooting from the field. After the defense had kind of fallen apart, losing your two best defenders and then suddenly having to change everything on the fly. Took them a while to kind of settle in and figure some things out. But the defense is playing better. Obviously, we know they played well offensively over this last stretch. And now you're starting to see a team that can play well on both sides of the floor, that raises that kind of margin for error, expands it just a little bit for a team that we've talked about before. The margin is so thin for this team with where the roster is right now. But we're starting to see them play better and starting to see the pieces fit together a little bit and help each other out. You're seeing multiple players have good games at the same time. So yeah, it's like, again, you can't ever chalk up a win with this program, but I do feel pretty solid. Like, I think they're going to handle this well. I don't think they're at a point where they're like, they're kind of resting on their laurels, and they want to finish this thing strong, especially with a guy like Sam Griesel there kind of setting the tone.
Weird feeling though, Jacob, right? That Nebraska is playing in a potential trap game tomorrow, and they're not the trap team. They're going up against a team that could trap them. That's a weird feeling. It's a big disparity from what the Husker basketball team has been over recent years.
Yeah, and Fred Hoiberg said that preparation doesn't change. That's the message to the team. We have to go into this the exact same way that we have when went on the road to Rutgers, when welcomed Maryland to town. You got to attack it the same way. Keep doing what has led to success. And again, I don't think this is a team at this point in the year, with everything they've been through, that would kind of like take their foot off the gas at this point, especially knowing with the senior group, they've got obviously only two of them are playing now, but with Derek Walker and Sam Griesel knowing they've got 2 home games left, I think you're going to see them definitely show up to play. And I think you'll see the younger guys kind of follow along with that.
Jacob, a couple minutes here, and we're going to hold you for a couple of minutes on the other side to hit boys districts, if you can do that for us. Creighton basketball, though, tough one against Marquette. Creighton back in action tomorrow on the road at Villanova. Jays, though, man, they've really turned the switch. They're playing good ball. Tough one, though, that they're trying to bounce back from.
Yeah, I think it does. On the one hand, it kind of hurts the long-term goals and setting up the resume. That was a really big win that you had a chance at and just kind of let slip through your fingers. On the other hand, they played pretty poorly and had a look to take the lead at the very end of that game. Trey Alexander, that 3 goes down, feeling completely different about how what this team is doing right now. So not playing great, still finding ways to compete with the best teams in the league. I think Creighton's at a point now where they play well. They can play with anybody in the country. It's just a matter of making sure you get those guys locked in. Got to get Baylor Shireman out his slump in particular. He's struggled the last few now. Still finding ways to impact the game, but with turnovers, with the threes not falling, you got to get him playing back to the level that he was previously, because that's kind of really when they hit their stride and were playing at their highest level with him playing super well. So that's kind of the priority for them now as we're in the stretch run here. But I think that their postseason goals are still in front of them, even if they may have lost the chance at conference title during the regular season.
And it's a weird feeling for Husker fans probably wanting to root for Creighton to make that win up at the CHI look better for your own resume, that you're now at the end of the season rooting for Creighton after all the animosity you've seen. Get those
net rankings up, man. And we'll spend a few more minutes here as boys state around the corner. Girls state tips off next week. And we'll get Jacob's take here on some important district matchups. Omaha looking great. Lincoln's a banner year this year. And it may not matter just with what's got to be done this weekend and Monday. Hang tight. Jacob Padilla is with us. It's Hail Varsity of Friday. We're presented by Currency.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Jacob Padilla continues with us here. Hail Varsity Radio, presented by Currency. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. Jacob posted up sixth floor Memorial Stadium after the volleyball press conference today. Jacob, game or two that interest you here in the districts for boys. Loaded schedule for tomorrow night. I'll have Southeast and North Platte, but I know the Metro's busy. I know some Lincoln teams are fighting to get into state here in the near future.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get done at PBA in time to sneak over to Southeast for that game. Will be a tight squeeze, but gonna give it a shot there with the 2:30 tip-off for Nebraska. About the only one that I have a chance of making it to, but that'll be interesting. Obviously, have to wait for the Class B district final pairings because the Seward and York got pushed back to tonight, so those will be out tonight or tomorrow morning. But yeah, you mentioned Lincoln having a great season, but a lot of 2 and 3 seeds. They're going to have to pull off some upsets to get out of the district round. The Lincoln East is obviously the one seed, and you've got Southwest as the 2 seed in that district. So you think at least one of those two will most likely make it out. But beyond that, you're looking at Pius having to upset both Kearney and Millward North as a 3 seed to make it. You're looking at Northeast is in the same district as Bell West, and we know how tough Bell West has been for everybody. North Star, that'll be one I'm interested in. Obviously, Omaha Bryant is no pushover if they show up and lock in. And we know North Star has had some kind of uneven performances just based on shot selection and things like that. But they've had a great season. And they took Gretna down to the wire. That's the 1 seed in that district. So we know those two can play it tight. Gretna's going to have to earn its trip to state there with North Star there as a 2 in their district. And then Prep and Southeast as the 1 and 2 in A4. We saw that be a competitive game during the regular season. So yeah, a lot of intrigue heading into these district rounds here. But in order for Southeast or for Lincoln to keep this kind of fantastic season going, they're going to have to break through and pull off some upsets there.
You know, and I look at Lincoln High, Millard South, and winner presumably gets West Side. I know West Side hooks up with Burke, and I don't have them in front of me, and you're more locked in than I am with some of the wild card. I mean, who's the best shot to get a wild card out of the Metro, and who's a good shot if at all possible, or is there any shot for a Lincoln team to get a wild card?
I think Lincoln High is second, because it goes 1 through 7 in the district,
right,
and then the 2 seed in A7 is Papillion La Vista South. So I think they have the number 1 wild card spot, and then I think it's Lincoln High after them, followed by, is it Southwest?
Yeah, that would be the next
Southwest
2 seed. And
strength of schedule.
The tough thing about that is the results here could shift some of those wild card points just based on how these games go. I believe it's so hard to predict.
Because if a 1 seed loses, then they're the number 1 wild card.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so it would be kind of a tough. I think be tough for a Lincoln team to get a wild card at this point. But yes, Lincoln High I think would have the best shot. And you mentioned that matchup. North South, they got Will Cooper back. He's not 100% yet, but it's good to see him out there after suffering the knee injury earlier in the season that have kept him out much of the year. Talented junior there, a really good shooter. So that'll be an interesting kind of first-round district matchup in there. If Lincoln High gets through that, contrast of styles there with the size and athleticism High can throw out against a kind of guard-heavy Omaha West Side team. And we know West Side has played some of their best ball down the stretch here with that went out in Grand Island, taking Bellevue West right to the edge to overtime, having a chance to win that thing at the end. So that could definitely be another one that I forgot to mention, but there's going to be some fun matchups for sure.
Quickly, it's been a while since we've seen a Lincoln school in the state tournament. I believe the last one we saw in Class A was that Lincoln North Star team of 2019.
Saw Pius too.
Wasn't Pius in Class B, or were they in Class A at the time?
They were in A.
They were in A, okay. But you look at the...
they bounce back and forth.
I look at the A5 district. You have Lincoln East as the 1 seed, Lincoln Southwest is the 2 seed, and then to round out that district, you have Millard West and Omaha Westview. Do you think there's a good chance of a Lincoln school making it out of that district into the state tournament? I guess my question to you is, what do you make of Millard West being the 3 seed there? How dangerous are they?
Yeah, Millard West is a team. They've made teams earn it against them. They've played a lot of teams close, just haven't had enough to kind of get over the top and win those games. So it's certainly not going to be easy for Southwest by any stretch, but I would definitely favor East and Southwest in that district pretty heavily to kind of match up in the district final. I mean, it's hard to predict anytime one Lincoln team matches up with another because it's been crazy all season long. Everybody has beaten everybody, as evidenced by, I mean, East far and away the best record, the number one seed, and Southeast won the city title with one of the worst overall records of the Lincoln schools. So, I mean, I feel like East at its best would be favored in that game just because I think they're more reliable than Southwest at this point. Southwest has shown what they're capable of, but they're still sitting here at 14-9. East has had a few really rough outings, including at Padilla South to kind of close out the regular season there. But they've been pretty reliable most of the season. Got really good guard play. They play really well together. So I feel like East definitely has a great shot to get out of that district. But again, Lincoln versus Lincoln, you never know how that's going to turn out.
Jacob Padilla, find him on Twitter at Jacob Padilla _ read him with HailVarsity.com and magazine, and he'll be all over the prep coverage and, of course, all things Nebraska basketball. Jacob, always love catching up with you on Fridays to talk some hoops and volleyball today. Thanks for making time as always, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
See you, bud. There he is, Jacob Padilla. He's going to go back to hammering away. Great coverage with Hail Varsity. Of course, Jacob and Aaron Sorensen, Brady Oltmans, Drake, Keeler, and just a great crew with Hail Varsity. Russell Wilson.
Oh, God. We have to go here?
We got 2 minutes here and a few minutes here before the top of the hour. Dude, are you confident, even with Sean Payton there, that it can get righted with him?
Confident is one way to put it. It's not how I would put my own feelings.
I said, can you be confident? I mean, Sean's going to come in.
I can feel better.
Right, because he's an established coach. This story that The Athletic did, they talked to over 15 former or current players, staff, coaches, and they laid out a kid in a candy store. Denver, new owner, lots of excitement, first-time head coach, and Russ had too much influence, tried to use his muscles and get Pete Carroll and John Schneider fired in Seattle. And then he's like, I'm just going to waive my no trade. Let's go to Denver. And you just had too many cooks in the kitchen. You had his private quarterback coach. He had his own office. You had guys. Who do I listen to?
Well, his private quarterbacks coach had his own office. Sean Payton got asked about that after
the
introductory press conference. He said, yeah, that's not going to happen while I'm here.
You tried this marriage of the Seattle and Green Bay offense, and it didn't happen. And Russ, he wanted to be a coach on the field with it. We'll have more on this story, but just an awful situation. He's even calling guys in on the day off. That's a no-no.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Well, the vaunted tug-of-war with Matt Rule and the football team. A little different tug-of-war at Nebraska than was going on in Seattle and Denver. We'll hear from Bill Doleman in 10 minutes. We'll check in with Brady Oltmans on the way. But the word in Seattle, and you could chalk it up to jealousy. You had the Legion of Boom. You had Richard Sherman. You had Bam Bam Cam. You had all those dudes. And Seattle won with that defense. Russell was a nice draft pick. They had a stellar offensive line and run game with Lynch, beast mode. And they were incredible. I mean, it was them or San Fran. They got to a Super Bowl, won. They got to a second Super Bowl, threw a pick. And then it just kind of went downhill. Then Seattle chose to pay Russ after his rookie contract. They did not pay the defense. The defense slowly went elsewhere or retired. And Then the guy has the gall to try and remove Pete Carroll and the GM because he saw them as a major league roadblock to him getting another championship. He's driven to be in that same breath as multiple championship quarterbacks. So he found a landing spot with a rookie coach he could walk all over that allowed it with his people, his personnel. And you had a blow up in the locker room after week 5. You had toxicity, and from day one, and it's even more and more is coming out with Marshawn Lynch, where go to war with you, man, and I got to call your people to schedule a sit down with you. Russ has got this crafted image. Russ has got this PR team. Russ has got this incredible skill. He is a really talented quarterback, but there's an alter ego, man, and guys in Seattle saw through it. You bet on the quarterback, totally get it. And now Denver's got to pick up the pieces. You've learned a hard lesson as new ownership. Sean Payton to the rescue. He'll say, let's ride, and maybe he can fix it.
Well, it's interesting. The rumors are out there, and Russell Wilson took to Twitter yesterday to deny these allegations, saying that he wanted Pete Carroll out.
Father.
But he said, the rumors are out there at the time that Russell Wilson wanted Sean Payton in Seattle to replace Pete Carroll, and he goes off to Denver. And then, before the Broncos debacle against the Rams on Christmas Day,
there's a text.
One of the worst Christmases of my life trying to watch that thing, a text from Latavius Murray to Sean Payton said, hey, me and my backfield teammates want you in Denver next year, before the Rams game.
Who's this?
Which I think
number 3?
Yes. Latavius Murray says number 3. Russell Wilson wants you in Denver. So, yeah. Nathaniel Hackett lost that Broncos locker room before the Rams debacle, which makes sense. 41-14 against a 4-10 team is one of the most embarrassing losses in Broncos history. It's not a surprise he lost the locker room. Doesn't make me feel any better about that, but maybe an adult in the room can come and settle things down in Denver. Doesn't sound like the team blames Russell Wilson for the struggles last year based on what some of these guys are saying, hey, it wasn't...
He's trying to be a leader. His heart was in the right place.
Yes. It wasn't his leadership. It wasn't him. It was the fact that they were trying to meld two offenses together that didn't quite work together, and there was just a lot of offense that they were trying to install and get in place, and it never quite came together, and as one person put it, too many cooks in the kitchen.
You got to know your limitations, said Clint Eastwood at one point in his career, right? And your job's to go execute what the coaches call. You're not calling a play to make you great. What's your motive? Hour 2's on the way. It's Hail Varsity. We're presented by Currency.
The voice of Husker Nation is on the air. This is Hail Varsity Radio. Insight, opinion, expertise, along with the biggest names talking Nebraska sports. Join in with the show at 402-489-1240 or 1-800-825-5865. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Hour 2, it's back with you, Hail Varsity Radio, presented by Currency. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. And check out Currency for sure for all your equipment financing needs. Go Currency. Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports, and the Professor Bill Doleman in his office. Someday we are going to see a tweed jacket with patches on the elbows, but not today. Billy D, good to spend time with you. How are you?
I'm doing well. I am hunkered down in a nice, warm office, courtesy of the University of Nebraska, so I don't have to jack up my heat at home, and I can save a little money on my energy bill. It's the way to go.
Whatever works, and good on you. I won't ask your in-office temperature, but
Shaggy's probably at home freezing his tail off.
No, he does whatever he wants to do. He's good.
He's on the couch right now, rocking Netflix. That's what Shags is doing.
Right. Yep.
So, Bill, question for you. We'll get this out of the way first. You got to pick the greatest ever, all sports, when it comes to Nebraska. And you are picking who?
Coaching's specific.
Coaching. I was getting there, but coaching.
Best coaches in Nebraska history.
Doesn't matter the sport.
Well, I think you probably have to put Bill Straub right there at the top of the list. I mean, the guy won 10 national championships and made a living in bowling. I I mean, that's pretty good, right? Tennis coaches, golf coaches, bowling coaches, and you make a living at it? That's pretty good, right?
It's
a great point.
Great coaches hire good coaches and make them great coaches. You have to put Devaney up there, because without him, none of this really exists.
Right.
If you want to get into the X's and O's and the motivational, Tom has to be there, obviously. But without Devaney coming here and believing in what Nebraska could be, and not just as a football coach, but when he took over as athletic director, there's no question that Devaney's importance to the state of Nebraska is almost incalculable. And then to develop Tom Osborne as a coach and allow Tom to grow into that role over 10 years. And Tom became the offensive coordinator for Bob, right at a time when, Bob was having a couple of down years, and, through Tom's offense, Nebraska wins a couple of national titles. And then it was time for, Bob to step aside and take over the AD job. And Tom goes, I suppose, Tom has to be there, because he was there for all of it, right? Devaney took over 60 years ago this month.
Oh, wow.
Started in January, but not official until February of 62. So 61 years ago this month, Devaney came to Nebraska, hired Tom shortly thereafter. As an athletic director, I think Bob Devaney is one of the greatest athletic directors in the history of collegiate athletics, and will never, ever get that due. But I firmly believe that. When you look at who all he hired and all the sports that he hired, and then you have to throw in Terry Pettit. And Terry Pettit has to be up there. And, I love John Cook, and there's no better, coach right now in the contemporary sense than John Cook, maybe at any sport anywhere right now in the country, despite the fact that he's north of 60. But Terry Pettit, when he got hired in 77 by Bob Devaney to get this program off the ground, had enough vision to come from, someplace in Indiana, and thinking, well, let's give this a shot. He sold the program, built the program, and did it by, finding local, regional, great athletes, track and field, basketball, multi-sport athletes, and did not care that you had to go to California to get them. He built it here. And Nebraska has the greatest volleyball program in the world, thanks to Terry Pettit, who hired a kid named John Cook, developed him into a great coach, who went on to develop a Final Four national championship caliber program at Wisconsin. And I still think this is the most I can't say unbelievable, because it happened. Amazing things to hire John Cook back from a national championship caliber program that he built to come back to Nebraska as an assistant coach. I mean, that to me is just absolutely amazing and mind-boggling. And I don't think people really fully comprehend how that is. John Cook built Wisconsin and laid the foundation for what they're doing today. But he left it behind to become an assistant coach to Terry Pettit. So, I love John, but I think because of what Terry Pettit built and his vision for what it could be, and when it was time for him to step down and to convince John to come back, I put Terry Pettit ahead of John Cook in that regard.
What a
And then Francis Allen. Come on, Francis Allen, 8 national championships, 7 times a runner-up. That's an amazing record, too. And he was so good, the NCAA killed his sport.
Jeez.
What was a well-thought-out, comprehensive answer there from Bill. We put him on the spot with that, and he came ready.
Well, yeah. I mean, Bill had a take on it, and similar, you got to go Bob, because Nebraska is Nebraska because of Devaney. And you hired incredible guys to not only maintain, but in some instances exceed what you've done from a championship standpoint. But no, that list is money. Who is better at their Joe Pesci impersonation in the desert in Casino? Danny Nee or Bob Devaney when it came to the art of swearing?
Oh, well, I think Danny Nee is 1, 2, 3 and 4, maybe Devaney cracks the top 5. But I think Bob was much more artful with it. I don't remember Bob, being much more than an Irish swear.
Okay.
Danny's streets of New York. Come on. Only Frank Martin has topped him in any practice that I ever heard. And, and Danny was, a second language that somehow melded together with English. And it was, really kind of an art form.
Well, and that reminds me of what we heard from the late,
I'll tell you
great
who was
Mike
bad
Leach.
at it, and that's Tom Osborne.
Well, yeah, that's a great point. But Mike Leach said there is an art to it. There's some people just have it, the way it's able to flow off the tip of the tongue and sound good and sound fitting. That's another great answer from Bill Doleman. He's bringing it today.
So, reaction to today's presser and this achievement that'll happen in August with the sellout streak finding its way and continuing in Nebraska, but setting the sellout record for Nebraska in volleyball. This is really, really pretty awesome. And I look at it not only as a nod, but also a big-time tribute to Coach Cook. I mean, this is fantastic. I don't know what his timeline is, but between what they wanted to do last year and what they have in the cupboard and then kicking it off with this, I mean, that's got to fire him up for another season.
It is a tribute to John Cook, no question. But I got to go back to Terry Pettit, though. Mm-hmm. Terry had the vision to sell volleyball to the state of Nebraska and give, coaches who probably didn't know the sport all that well. Maybe Steve Morgan out at Ogallala did, but, the folks at Papillion and Lincoln Northeast that had some great teams. But he went around and said, I need your help to do this. And by doing that, created the interest in those small towns to get girls to come out to play the sport that really wasn't established yet in the late 1970s, and then going to Nebraska ETV and saying, put this product on, I guarantee you'll have a good show. So, what John Cook has done over the last 2 decades, this is a tribute to that. But without Terry Pettit going around the state and saying, I need you to buy in with me here, and let's do this together. And what you'll see, I'm amused by, what music act are they going to have to fill the stadium? The question is, what music act is going to benefit from the fact that there will be 40 or 50,000 or more people at a stadium to watch a volleyball match? And, oh, by the way, we'll stick around. Okay? Garth Brooks can sell it out. Maybe the Swifties could sell it out, but people are going to go because it's Nebraska volleyball, and this is a call to arms. And without Terry going around the state and getting those athletic programs to buy in and sell it to those kids that this could be it's not just a boys' state for football, but girls are going to have an opportunity to compete at the highest level. And it's not just volleyball, but basketball and track and field. And don't forget to throw Gary Pepin into that conversation. But I think this is a testament to Terry Pettit's vision of what volleyball could be in this small state in the center of the country, that it's not just for California and Texas. And you will have a lot of club teams. They'll sell tickets to club teams. It'll be reasonable. So you will see tens of thousands of people. So congratulations. John Cook deserves everything that comes his way. And I don't think he'll forget, where this all began. It's what attracted him from San Diego so many years ago.
Bill, what do you think about volleyball resounds so much with the state of Nebraska? It's not just Lincoln and Omaha, not just the metro areas. This goes as far as the Nebraska panhandle that the love of volleyball extends to. So what do you think about volleyball is just so special to the state of Nebraska? It's more than just the fact that you have a winning team. There's been a lot of winning teams in Nebraska, but there's something about volleyball that seems to just stick with Nebraskans. Well, what do you think that is?
I think that when people, it's what we talk about with football and any other Nebraska sport. Nebraska people can identify when you are giving the best effort, when you're working hard and you are competing hard. And volleyball is one of my favorite sports to call. It was my niche into the broadcasting business, but it is graceful, it is athletic, it is intense, it is dramatic. And when people watch young girls, high school girls, and women at the University of Nebraska play, they're watching, pure, all-out effort. And I think that those athletes give that effort, from within themselves to succeed, but also because there's a genuine appreciation for the appreciation the fans have for that kind of effort. Nebraska people love hardworking, honest folks. And I think when you watch women's volleyball, you're getting a hardworking athletes who are giving an honest effort, and they can appreciate that. It's pretty simple, I think, and they're successful.
Bill Doleman's with us. It's Hail Varsity Radio at Bill Doleman's, where you find him on Twitter, talking a lot of volleyball and the press conference today. Bill, going to switch gears up and discuss Russell Wilson, your stomping grounds, Denver. We bring that up to go volleyball and now to the NFL. You have your ear in Denver. What a mess year one was, clearly on the field, but the behind the curtain story, at least from The Athletic and parts of ESPN.com, paint a really tough picture. Did we lose Bill? I see
no,
Bill.
No, you lost me. The problem was you lost me, and Bill probably missed the second half of that question.
Okay. Russell Wilson, can he get fixed? Can he be coachable?
Well, first of all, Elijah gets on the promos, and now we're starting to have some problems. So, okay, whatever. All of a sudden, new radio station, Elijah's in the promos. Now he can start to slack off. Okay. Look, you know, I'm somewhat thankful that I'm no longer around the drama of Denver in that regard, but I do have folks out there that still communicate every now and then, and I do follow a few things. Last year was just a total disaster. I don't put that necessarily on Russell Wilson, although people think he's kind of flaky. But I just think that there was such dysfunction in the way that in who they brought in with Nathaniel Hackett. They should have gone with the Dallas defensive coordinator. That would have been the better hire. He was not prepared for that job. Wilson was not prepared. They didn't have the team around him for him to succeed. He was terrible, but I think it just was bad to start, and it got worse. I think everybody just lost confidence. And I don't know why Russell Wilson has all of a sudden become the NFL punching bag. But now with the talk about him in Seattle, that he was trying to get Pete Carroll and Gary Snyder, fired, all of a sudden Wilson is the new Tim Tebow target. And I don't quite understand why that is, other than the fact he was terrible last year in Denver. But Denver was terrible last year, evidenced by the fact you fired a coach with 4 games left to go in the season. So I don't think you can put Denver's all of their problems on what Wilson did last year. And now he's got the coach that if he did want him fired in Seattle, he's got the coach that apparently he wanted there in Sean Payton. And now he's got a new quarterback coach in Davis Webb, who they signed away from the Giants' active roster to become the quarterback coach with the Broncos.
He played last year. That's crazy.
Uh-huh.
He started the last game of the season.
Yep.
Well, Davis Webb, here's your office. It used to be Russ's.
And we talk about Garrett McGuire being young. This guy is coaching a quarterback who is 5 years older than him.
That works.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if he's coachable.
Well, good thing Russ has got his private quarterbacks coach anyway to handle all that.
At a distance, right. At a distance now. Bill Doleman, Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports, and of course the professor. Billy D, we'll bump into you here down the road. A lot of things coming up here. Spring football around the corner. Recruiting, of course, I know your favorite. And yes, for sure, state basketball here gets rolling next week. And Sparty comes to town. We'll see how Nebraska handles Minnesota tomorrow.
And dinner at Rosie's, right?
Yes, dinner at Rosie's. We will have a Bill Doleman sighting and a empty can of Guinness and a full glass of Guinness at Rosie's.
All right, and after that dropout earlier in the segment, I'm going to go check on Elijah's degree to see if that was actually signed.
Oh, wow.
And maybe he's got to come back to class.
I'll send you a picture tonight. It's still in my room. I haven't hung it up or anything. I don't care enough.
Mine's in a box.
I was going to say, mine's just sitting, I think, on a desk somewhere in my room.
Uh-huh. Bill, appreciate you,
Signed
brother.
in crayon.
Thank you, sir.
See you, boys.
University of American Samoa, Elijah. Is that what we're thinking?
Totally, yeah.
Brady Oltmans on the way with Hail Varsity.
I worked hard for that degree.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for hanging out. Hail Varsity Radio with you on a Friday. Tomorrow, weekend edition at 7 a.m. We welcome in Brady Oltmans, HailVarsity.com and magazine at Brady Oltmans on Twitter. He is hunkered down. We got to talk cowboy hats before we dive into recruiting overtures by the SEC.
But before we get there, we also have to note that Brady's captives have moved him to a different room, a much cushier type.
This is the second week in a row he's allowed to see what a kitchen looks like.
Hey, look, now we got some sunlight coming in.
That's right. A little vitamin D factor.
Exactly. So you got to move as the sunlight allows you to move.
No, I love it. Cowboy hats. We asked Jacob if he would wear a cowboy hat. He said, no, I am not tough nor cool enough to kick dirt on Rip from Yellowstone and try and wear a cowboy hat.
I've worn one in my life. It was for a college semi-formal type thing. I look stupid.
Did you have the bolo tie?
No, I didn't. I had like a plaid flannel shirt on with a cowboy hat and a gold chain. I looked like an idiot.
Dude. Brady, do Cowboys rock gold chains? Not outwardly. No, right? No, not typically. I love it. So, okay, we got to run it down. We got to talk cowboy hats for 2 seconds. Barrett Ruud, I think, was a cowboy boot enthusiast. My dad, rest his soul, went on a cowboy kick and had some sort of black leather schmuck he wore, but didn't rock that long, but thought it looked cool at the time. We still laugh about that. So cowboy hats. Governor Pillen handed one off. Cowboy John, as he's known today. What brand did he get? And if a guy's going to go get a cowboy hat, what do you fork the money over? I mean, what are we talking here? What's the range?
I didn't look exactly at which one got handed over to Cowboy John, but I can tell you, right now, it varies. Depends on what you're looking for. I myself. My go-to one right now is an Atwood, and I think that cost me somewhere $45, $50.
Cool.
And that's a good straw. If you want to go like a felt a little bit more for a winterized one, that might run you up $60, $70 to get a really good one. I mean, if you're going to pay more, quality is going to be a little bit improved. Mm-hmm. But Justin, Atwood, even Stetson, those are the go-tos if you're looking to get a good one.
What can they exceed? What do they top out at?
Oh man, somebody somewhere is probably making money off of a couple of grands for a cowboy hat.
Okay.
You can even get one. Go into the store, if the fort were still open without the fire damage. I'm sure they got a couple for probably $200 or so that you can get off the wall.
Yeah. Okay.
That's up there. I met a guy down in Mississippi who had a pair of like $1,000 cowboy boots. He's like, yeah, I made 3 different payments on these cowboy boots. They're Australian like snakeskin or something like that. I'm like, dude, I'm not sure that's a waste. Maybe I got to ask Brady, but that was like one of the things I went like, that's craziness. I didn't realize that cowboy boots and cowboy hats cost you that much money.
Do you splurge on the boots or the hat?
I'll splurge on the boots. I mean, boots are going to run you a little bit more, but you tend to wear boots a little bit better. You get a good pair of boots. The original insoles will last you probably about 18, 20 months, and then you get a new pair of insoles in there. I myself am actually kind of in the market before football season gets going. I'll probably have
NIL for Brady here.
Yeah. So somebody is who's looking to endorse.
Brady Oltmans brought to you by Justin Boots.
Hey, look, if they're offering, I'm looking.
We'll just make a phone call.
See, we got a whole bunch of listeners in like central Nebraska that are probably going like, these idiots don't know anything about cowboy boots and
Brady
cowboy
knows.
hats. Like, thank God we got Brady.
Yeah.
So I feel like I know nothing. I saw one video come across my my Instagram feed that was like, here's what cowboy hats you wear based on the time of year, and here's etiquette with cowboy hats. And I go, I knew none of this. I didn't know there was a specific way you're supposed to tip your cap at a lady or versus tip your cap at a man, or taking your hat off when you get indoors and you can wear these colors in the spring. I was like, I had no idea. I thought you just picked your favorite cowboy hat and threw it on.
Well, can we get you to do next week's hit with your cowboy hat on?
I'll write that down. I'll try to remember that.
I'm not like being an a-hole here. I just want to see you rocking the cowboy hat. It's it's all good.
No, I started wearing it to on assignment and to games and everything like that last year. So it comes with the territory now. Of course, when you're covering rodeo and doing stuff out in Wyoming and coming from small town Nebraska, it just tends to follow you anyway.
No, I love it. No, it's all good. Let's talk Ainsworth, Carter Nelson, Georgia. Ole Miss, who else? A&M. I mean, a boatload of post-Bama offers that started this week. Give me a scale measurement here. Where are the scales at Nebraska and everybody else, or is Nebraska on their own scale right now?
Well, it's tough to really judge because he and his family and his coaches they're pretty good at keeping it close to the vest. I think he's kind of looking around. This part of the thing is Nebraska got in fairly early with him, and I think that he even felt the love from the previous coaching staff. And this new coaching staff has done a really good job of making sure that he knows that he is a priority for them. You've also got Penn State, Kansas State were in early on him, or relatively early, I guess.
Notre Dame first, right?
And Notre Dame was in there. So those ones stand out. Kids remember, the schools that are earlier on them. It still means something to them if you believe in them early. But I'd say Alabama and Georgia are certainly in the runnings for it. He's got a surplus of offers, so I don't know if he's going to be able to make every visit to every campus, but he's going to be looking around. I don't know timeline-wise what he's looking like, but most kids of his caliber want to have at least a short list by the start of the football season. So it's just going to be a busy spring and busy summer for him.
His athleticism's just fantastic. You got the basketball skills, you've got the football physicality. And is he a guy, and I think right now, watching film, he's so good at that flex spot. I know they love studying tight ends. I know that, Kelsey's his dude. And I don't see Kelsey on the end line that often. He's flexed out. Is it a situation where he's going to be like flex only at college, or do you think you could see him end line? Just because Nebraska presumably wants to use more two tight end sets down the road.
I could see him really doing either. I mean, he's an athletic kid. I mean, he's got good build. You get him in a college regimen, he can really put on weight, and he's got the frame to support it. He's a really capable blocker. He's really good at being physical. He gets involved, but he's also explosive. I mean, you got a guy who can stick a block for 25, 30 yards and can dunk. I mean, he's got pretty much the total package that you're looking for. He's also a capable track athlete. I mean, he can sprint, he can jump, he can throw. I can't remember what his last discus was, but I mean, it almost doubled my best discus throws from back in the day, which isn't saying much, but it's
at least you have a discus from back in the day.
Yeah, well, it was a China plate that I wasn't supposed to be outside with, but there we go. But he could stick a block on an end if they wanted him to, or if they wanted to, have him a steady set of hands on a third down situation, they can trust him to do that too. This coaching staff likes his athleticism, and they want to get him in and see what they can do with him from there.
I hesitate to make the same joke twice in a week, but could you see him being the next great center at Nebraska?
Wow.
I mean, that one might take a couple more years to do, but
been done.
What is it? This coaching staff is telling recruits or generally saying recruits, hey, you have offensive linemen and you have quarterbacks, and then there's the rest of them. We can mold you and make you into anything else. So nothing's off the table right now.
That's the direct quote. Like, what these coaches are telling these recruits is just because you're a wide receiver now doesn't mean you're going to be. Like, we can make you into anything. So I'm not saying realistically here, but like,
what do you like to do, son?
Well, I've talked to a couple of recruits, and the thing that they have been told was kind of like, hey, if you're a quarterback now, you're probably going to be expected to be a quarterback. If you're a lineman, they'll kind of think of you as a lineman. But if you're a running back, receiver, tight end, or anything like that, they're not going to handcuff you to that position. They'll say, well, we'll get you in, see where you're comfy, see if that's your situation. Or when we see you live and in workouts, maybe there's a position where you can, utilize your skill set a little better.
Scott, listener, chiming in here with our cowboy hat discussion, weighing in about 150. No real working cowboy would be caught in a $50 hat. I should have pre-read that. Sorry, Brady. Well, you.
I was on a budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. And Scott was out in the Sandhills for about three decades. So good there. But no, exactly. You go with what you can afford. I love it.
No, and that's a good brand. I mean, Scott's dead on. You get a Resistol. That's solid, and that's going to last you a while.
I just realized out loud what Resistol. It's spelled differently, but I just tied it together. Resistol. It's like Ray-Ban. It's one of those things that you don't think about because you just hear the name so much. I just tied it together. Resist all.
Ding, 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 ding. I love it. That's good.
Wow.
Man, you're really working for that degree today, Elijah.
Just keep hammering.
Another low blow.
Just keep hammering. Brady, what's keeping you busy here this weekend? What are you focused on here? I know you're tracking recruits and keeping an ear for spring ball around the corner as well.
Well, just wrapping up the last positional resets for the magazine. Anybody who's interested, we kind of give a look at how things are going for the spring. Helped out with the volleyball announcement today. I might have a little bit more clue in there, and then following up on the last assistant coaches we heard from this week. So we're about a month out from spring ball, but that doesn't mean my job slows down any.
No.
Brady, if you're picking the artist for the concert following the volleyball match, who is Brady Oltmans booking?
Oh, man. Well, logically, Zach Bryan is actually playing Pinnacle Bank Arena the night before, and I thought that would be a good one.
I looked into that. Unfortunately, he's playing Kansas City that night on the 30th.
Yeah.
So,
well, and the Chicks are playing Omaha that same night, too. So I don't know. I polled people at the stadium, and Bruce Springsteen was the overwhelming favorite. And I asked the athletic department, and I got a laugh, and then they walked away from me. So I don't think that's going to happen.
Dolman was just hanging out, or I should rephrase, Bruce was just hanging out with Dolman last weekend.
Yeah, I haven't caught up with him about that.
Dolman probably planted the seed. You know, if you're not busy, Bruce, Guns N' Roses is kicking off a tour.
Well, I mean, I'm really fascinated to see who it is. I mean, are they going to kind of go a festival style thing and make it a little
Taylor
different?
Swift. Aaron Sorensen's going to make the call. It's going to be Taylor Swift.
If we can make that happen, I might have to change my flight to Minneapolis the day after.
Brady Oltmans. Find him on Twitter at Brady Oltmans. Read him, HailVarsity.com and magazine. Package it all. Get the digital and the magazine. HailVarsity.com/offer. Brady, we'll see you this weekend. Thanks for jumping on, man.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
There he is. Brady Oltmans with us here. Hail Varsity continues, presented by Currency.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you. It's Hail Varsity Radio. We're presented by Currency. And open phones here till 6. Weekend edition tomorrow at 7 a.m. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. Numbers to get in, 489-1240. 489-1240. You want to join the fray? We talked, all right, greatest coach ever across all sports in Nebraska. Bill Doleman had just a take on that. Good stuff from him. Brady Oltmans, great stuff with Carter Nelson, tight end, as his recruitment intensifies. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play for the podcast. Can catch the video as well on the Hail Varsity YouTube channel and find it there. And segments you want to hear or the whole show there for you. Reminder to get buckled up using your seatbelt. It saves lives, prevents injuries, only if properly worn. Buckle up. A message from the Nebraska Department of Highway Safety Office.
And I would also like to note here,
Sure.
my dad wanted to chime in. He sent me a text. He puts Francis Allen's name into the ring as greatest Husker coach of all time. 40 years as Nebraska's gymnastics coach, was the Olympic coach for the United States a couple times, 1980 and 1992. Another great candidate for greatest coach in Nebraska history.
No, and there's been so many elite level coaches come through Nebraska. I've got to go back to what I started the show with, and it was Bob, because of what this is. And you could argue a lot of the other programs have been able to happen and grow because of what Bob did for football. Mm-hmm. And, so pretty celebratory day in Nebraska with the announcement earlier. Started the show off there with some reaction and a really cool tribute to this volleyball program, this state, and, of course, Coach Cook. A program that was once great and is trying to get back there is Florida State. Why am I going to Florida State? Their AD chirping about the ACC. Florida State's one of those banner programs, and they've not been in the ACC that long. I think they joined, I got to go back. I think they joined in like 92.
July 1st, 1991. Thank you, Google.
Yeah, so it was close. And, time will tell if it's just Clemson and everybody else in the ACC for a playoff spot, or can there be a two-horse race for multiple teams. But first things first, revenue's got to change in the ACC. The revenue gap that is a reality with the SEC and with the Big Ten. That's key. We had news earlier in the week about Apple, and that's where the Pac-12 may be, I don't want to say banished, but you've had major networks, hey, we're going to pass right now on re-upping with rights fees because, all right, you lost both L.A. schools. Washington and Oregon are damn good football programs, but there's just not the eyeballs in those two respective states that'll move the needle. I mean, if they're a good football program, yeah, you'll see them. But as far as watching Pac-12, it's fun. I love watching Pac-12 after dark back in the day. And even you get home from doing a ball game, you'll have a kickoff at 9 p.m. So I just wonder with the Pac-12 if that door is open for further expansion for those that have some clout to get out. I mean, it's going to come down to revenue sharing. And what's the reality with the Big Ten? Do you add more? Does it make sense to add more? Do you water down what each university is going to get by adding more mouths to feed? Right now you would, but do you want to pass up the possibility of more teams in the playoff? You've already gone westward expansion. Oregon and Washington would be nice to get. Notre Dame would be solid to get. And then you round out at 18 or 20, and you've got a mega deal. Florida State right now is chirping because, listen, who's to say they don't or haven't been looking to go to the SEC? I mean, they've already got to play Florida. They already play Miami. They already got battle for the state of Florida. And, not even 15 years ago, but 20 years ago, that was a thing. Okay, so this is one AD, but he's not the only AD, and you have two conferences right now in the Pac-12 and in the ACC. The ACC's been in good position. They've won championships. They dethroned Alabama with their league-leading member Clemson. Where are they at as far as a bounce back? They're 21-6 in their last two seasons. So if Clemson comes back to earth a little bit after losing two assistants, or coordinators, I should say, who's ready to step up and be an option? Notre Dame, again, dates in the ACC, but they don't have to jack with the conference title game, and they're still going to be part of it, assuming they're up to Coach Kelly year's par of being a playoff team. I don't know, man. That's one thing that I think there was disagreement on with Warren and some of the chancellors and presidents and ADs about adding more. It's already going to be kind of screwy with this foreseeable schedule, the 3-6-6, and then you still want to have a non-conference showdown, a couple of teams to get W's, and then who do you test yourself against? That may all reshape and change, too, with your strength of schedule in league. If you've got Ohio State and Penn State on the docket, Michigan State's good. You've got UCLA or USC. What's the Big 12 do? Who do they add if the Pac-12 starts spinning out of control? I'm curious about it, though, but this time of year, it's a late February shot from a pretty prestigious, not old guard ACC member, but it's the one that carried the water and the weight for years under Bobby Bowden for a long time. They won some championships. They won both their championships as members of the ACC.
Well, it's just a case of everyone who's not in the SEC or the Big Ten feeling the pressure. It's what we talked about whenever SEC went and grabbed Texas and Oklahoma. When the Big Ten grabbed USC and UCLA, we're moving to a type of college athletics
Power 2, baby,
where you have a Power 2, a couple other conferences that have a couple good teams, and then you have the everybody else's. And if you're not in that Big 2, what is going to become of you and your program? You're just going to be falling behind those Big 2 conferences. And I think Like you talk about the Pac-12, those TV networks are feeling the pressure. What does the Pac-12 look like in 5 years? Clemson and Florida State are feeling the pressure. What does the ACC look like in 5 years? We have no idea, realistically. We don't know what college sports looks like in 5 years. Could the Big Two go get up to 24 teams? Potentially. We don't know what 5 years from now holds, and these teams don't know either. And they're just all worried.
Your NFC, your AFC North, your AFC South. I mean, that's where this is going. You are not going to close the gap at $30 million. That's how far you are behind the Big Ten, the SEC, and you have a better shot of losing Clemson and Florida State than you do making up that $30 million. Because guess what? The SEC and the Big Ten can say, all right, we'll be able to make that up and just have another monster TV deal the next round of negotiations. I know we just finished one, but they're not Notre Dame 10, 25-year deals. They're 7 to 10-year windows, and then you renegotiate on a shorter window. We'll wind down a Friday. Lots to get digested today. Thanks for spending time. Hail Varsity continues. We're presented by Currency.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time, Hail Varsity presented by Currency. For all your equipment financing needs, go Currency. Schmidt and Elijah Herbel. So has the decision been made for dear old dad tonight?
Kind of yes, kind of no.
Is this a secret?
No, it's just we're a little bit disagreement.
Negotiating?
Really? It's a case of...
We're not going to give free shout-outs on Friday, but there's kind of a go-to and then there's a settle.
Yeah, so it's my dad's birthday.
Yeah.
As he turns, let's do some...
39?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Huh?
I think it's 56, but...
That's all right. It's still way young.
Congrats to old Pops, as he
you
made it this far.
50, come on now, 56 is young.
I think this is at the point where now I stop calling him dad and I start calling him the old man. Wonder what the old man's up to today.
Careful what old, I got the look when I called my dad old man once on the radio when I first started doing this. Yeah, the old man. And the go-go gadget arms can always still reach in the back seat of the car even while he was driving.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I believe that.
The reach, Wilt Chamberlain's got nothing on Papa Bear's reach. You're screwing around in the back of the car.
Yeah, road trip to Denver.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't. I'm going to turn this car around and I'm going to lock your ass in the trunk.
But we're trying to figure out a birthday dinner spot, and we said, well, Dad, it's your birthday. You pick. And he said, no, you guys pick. It's my birthday. I'm going to make you guys pick.
You guys better pay.
So I think we have settled on wings.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to steal the checkbook before it gets to him. So I'm going to try to get that. The question is,
here's your trick.
What wing spot in Lincoln do we want to go to? And we're still in the process of establishing.
What needs to happen is to make sure you get the check is you have the bartender or the waitress have him come up to the bar for a birthday shot while she sneaks the check that way.
There's a great life advice. And the thing is, I think my dad's listening today, so now he's going to know the trick.
I always scattered when the check came.
Yeah, and say, I work in radio. Come on, I can't afford no check.
Yeah, you better show up with a little bit more of the duct tape, scars from taping wires and equipment and all that good stuff. Well, happy birthday, Papa. It's really cool that you're taking your dad out. So that'll be fun. Blue cheese or ranch?
Ranch, 100%. Blue cheese is wrong.
No.
Oh, yeah, it tastes like spoiled ranch dressing. No, is that what you want?
No, blue cheese. I'm not saying ranch is bad. Ranch is good. Ranch is fine.
I am saying blue cheese is bad.
Blue cheese any other way. I mean, the crumbles are good. You get a wedge. Have you not had a proper wedge?
Oh, I have.
Okay.
Nice wedge salad with the blue cheese dressing.
Yeah.
I've had that.
And
I prefer it with ranch.
Let's be honest. If the wings are done the right way with the sauce or grilled or the seasoning on them, if they're done the right way, you don't even need the blue cheese.
That's true. That's very true.
Or the ranch.
That's true. I think it's more of like a mouthfeel thing. Whenever you're eating the wings, you get the creamy feel.
The sweet and the heat.
And that's the problem with blue cheese to me, is it adds an off flavor to the wings that's kind of at least off-putting in my opinion. That's the problem. Is it tastes like somebody left some ranch out on the countertop for like a week and like, oh, here, this will work for your wings.
No, blue cheese is absolutely the way to go over ranch.
Whenever I ask for ranch and I get blue cheese, every single time I go, this is the most disgusting ranch I've ever had. And I go, oh, it's blue cheese. That
problem is when you ask for tonic and they give you soda.
Yes.
That's no good.
That's how you ruin a gin and tonic.
But you got to get halfway down first before you notice. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 7, Weekend Edition. Take care. Thanks.